Mauritius today with all this simple thing, capital gains. Okay, capital gain is not taxable income. Okay, fundamentally, it's capital. It's not. But there are many situations where we have so many. Of course, I can understand few, but every single thing becomes a fictitious. You know, we talk about fictitious entries in the books and all that. We also have fictitious entries in our income tax law. So every single thing gets artificially defined to suit the tax department's need, and that is what is the one thing which I think people can understand, that if you want to attract foreign investors, at least bring your rules to the ground level. So it's an entry point. You get to go into business, you have basic thing, right? That you have to have pass-through, you have to have X or XYZ. These are the basic, these are not the incentives. And then on the top of it, you want to attract foreign investors, you give something additional, stopping on visa. So my thinking is that if we can understand that by giving away this frills or something, you know, it is not, we are not giving incentive, we are not obliging them. It is something that naturally is out. And we'll make our ecosystem much more friendlier. We have very good fundamentals, demographics and everything. Nobody has to go and tell story that why India is not a great market. But still we are struggling, and I understand that as far as public markets are concerned, India has returned about 3% return only in 5-7 years in dollar terms. China has given 7%, the US has even gone up to 14-15%. Okay? And on the top of 3%, we are again putting tax. So tax has become a major thing. So all of us, I'm sure, would agree that tax and death cannot be avoided. But I think at least during the lifetime, we don't want to die because of tax.
Yeah. There are two things in life that are inevitable, death and taxes. So, yes.
Thank you.
So my wish is that if we're here this time next year, which I'm sure we will be, that 90% of what we talked about is not about tax, because that's all we seem to talk about. What I'd rather see is the big wish then is that this panel is completely different, and the panel is full of people like myself, hopefully, who are running and have raised funds from offshore, which is benefiting everybody here in terms of, you know, administrators, hiring more people. And we also have some foreign funds who have actually come to GiftCity. So if we could just get through some of these, what I hear is, you know, for these talented people here, are simple things you just need to move around and get the money in, because, you know, the vision that Prime Minister Modi is fantastic. What Dipesh and the team here has done is fantastic. Can't we just move on and just get it happening? That's my wish.
In fact, my wish would be to let us have a corporate trustee structure, because as of now, there is only the entire thing is looked after by debenture trustee. There is nothing as such for a corporate trustee structure. Even the regulation only talks about the debenture trustee, which is managing everything, whether it is the debentures or the aids or the REITs or the InvITs. Let's have a debenture trustee and then define the role. This is what it is. Because whatever we are doing is just taking everything as a debenture trustee and simply putting it to the aids or to the other SEBI regulated products. So that would be my wish to SEBI in particular. Thanks.
Thank you. I did promise I would have my one ask, if you will. But I'm just going to go around. I think we've talked about a lot of different things today. We did seem to disproportionately talk about tax, and that point is taken. But that is the real issue. For GIFT IFSC to be a competitive center, financial center globally, I think these are the nuts and bolts that have to be solved for. The right frameworks do have to be put in place. The unified regulator does have to come in place as well. So tax, legal are absolutely critical components of any framework where other people's money can be managed, so to speak. So I'm happy to actually see so many people in the room. So my one wish would be an even greater consultative, close working with industry, and for GIFT IFSC to really become the fulcrum to bring industry, practitioners, capital. Renuka mentioned earlier the fundamental, the basic sort of providers of capital are actually our LPs offshore, so bring them into the discussion as well. Please bring CBDT as well. Somebody mentioned actually having a tax office set up here in the GIFT IFSC, so why not? So actually continued consultative, even closer consultative working with industry. You represent government in some ways. I think what you see here is the other side of the equation. So I wouldn't say it's a de novo wish, I think it is underway, but even closer working, and there has been tremendous momentum and acceleration that I've seen in the last few years, and I'd like to see that continue.
Before we conclude, there are two aspects I think which we have not discussed, and that is the concept of geotagging. So a few months ago, I just happened to suggest to the patient, why can't we include the word gift before IFSC in a fund, and which means every time the SEO runs on internet, it pushes up the name of gift. And I was absolutely amazed that within 24 hours, they came back and said, we can do that. So that's an option available. So it creates a geo-tagging, geolocation for funds in GIFT City. The second aspect is what we have spoken, is that what I call as the missed call approach, where investors are foreign, investment is foreign. That rule has also come in, and I see that making GIFT as a place where international funds can be serviced, because now it is no longer subject to Indian tax. We must push that a little further, because that affects nobody and really creates employment and opportunities here.
Thank you. On that very positive note, we'll end the session.
This has been a knowledge-giving session, and I'm sure the audience must have benefited a lot from the valuable inputs given by the panelists over here. I take one more time the opportunity to thank everyone on the dais, and as a gesture, would like to present with you the mementos. To do the honors, would call upon Sri Anil from... first we will go with Mr. Chetan Bajpai. He would present the memento to Mr. Andrew Holland. We have one more session to go, so don't leave the room and clap harder. Thank you. Would now call upon Sri Bhavyesh Karya to present memento to Mr. Nishit Desai, please. Would now call upon Sri V.K. Singh to present memento to Sri Aditya Sesh. Thank you. Would like to call upon Sri Anil Nashwa, Sri Anil Nashwa to present the memento to Tushar Sajde. So would request you to present memento to Mr. Richie Sanchedi. Sir, Anil sir, please do the honors. Anil sir, keep giving to the panelists out there for their wonderful participation. To Mr. Richie Sanchedi from Nishit Desai Associates. And to Ms. Anjali Bansalji. It's because of her inputs and tremendous efforts the alternate investment funds have reached to such higher scales. We appreciate your presence over here, madam. Let me have a big round of applause. Sorry. Shri Anil sir, can you please do the honors to Sanjay Sinha sir, please? Thank you very much. And can we have all of you together for a group photograph, please? Only panelists to participate in the panel discussion, and we'll request everyone to stay back. This panel discussion, IFSC exchange. Microphone to Shri Dipesh sir, please.
Thank you. I think after the morning plenary and the first panel discussion that we had, this panel is going to be right in between the lunch and what we are trying to convey. So it's going to be the most difficult panel to carry on, but I'm sure the people who are sitting in the room are the ones who are really interested to understand one of the major business opportunities which is emerging out of the international financial services is the international trading. And I think we have the people on this panel who actually have been associated with this concept from the very beginning when this whole concept of International Finance Center got started. So we're very fortunate to have them on stage right now. And this concept is not, might be new to India, but this has been globally, this is how it has been going on. So without wasting much of the time, I would like to straight away go to the point where this business can be only enabled through the regulations. The more the regulatory freedom and the more the regulatory support that you provide, you actually enable this business manifold. And for any financial center, the success actually lies in the way how the regulatory regimes evolve in those centers. And that's where we see scope of Singapore today being top of so much. Dubai, London, I think everybody has given a right framework for businesses and units to operate from. So let me straight away go to the SEBI. And Manoj Kumar, who is on the panel, I think it would not be an understatement to say the wholehearted support provided by him and his team from the beginning has actually made us come to GIFT City at this stage where we are. He has been instrumental in bringing all the required changes that were required from the day one to get the International Financial Services Center capital market going. And straight away to you, sir, if you can give us the SEBI's perspective and how you've been taking up the IFSC regulatory regime as different and comparable to other financial sectors.
Thank you. And just to begin with, when Dipesh mentioned that we are sitting between the lunch, then I saw a lot of tension and a lot of people have joined because probably they thought that unless this session is over, probably lunch will not be open. So he mentioned about how as a regulator we have facilitated this. It is very good to hear because generally in a domestic jurisdiction we don't hear very kind words. Probably it has happened because we are sitting in the GIFT jurisdiction. So it's very kind of you. And as you recall, since most of you were present in the morning session also, when Chairman SEBI spoke, the entire approach of SEBI, particularly with respect to GIFT since day one, is to have a liberal sort of a structure. And whatever regulations we have carved out over a period of time, our focus was that whatever learnings we had from a domestic segment, based on those learnings and our little bit experience in the international segment, we should try to harmonize. And I think before this panel, there was some indication about harmonization. So that harmonization, though you may not be noticing, but it is happening on a regular basis. So if you see holistically, the regime here is very liberal. Our approach is that the two exchanges which are sitting, and I am sandwiched between them as usual, they will always keep on coming with new wish lists. And I just remember that when I was sitting on this table, hearing what chairman is speaking, Bala was giving me one wish list. So we keep on receiving wish lists. We get wiser after getting those wish lists, and based on that wisdom which we acquire, we try to evolve and try to develop some regulations. And our purpose of, I think I am coming for the third time here, and our purpose is to come and hear the views of all of you, so that going forward, if we can give some more relaxations, carve out in this segment, we will be very happy to do so.
Thank you. I think you always make it lighter whenever you are here, sir, and you ensure your full support in making this regime workable. I think one person who has led the efforts of the International Financial Services Center from an exchange perspective stands out to be V. Bala. As we know him, he can give you both type of boosters. One could be a very positive and you will be on the moon, and the very next day you could be on the ground and you will feel that you have not done anything which is required to be done for a financial center. But I must compliment the way that he has carried forward the agenda of an international exchanges. And let me ask him, what are the key products that you are offering on the India INX? Because many of the broking community who turn back to us keep asking us, we need more products, we need more business in order to keep growing in the international financial center. So what are your views on the products offered and how the major benefits of FPI and EFI can be brought out from this zone?
Thanks, Dipesh. So I think there are a lot of questions in this one. But just to give you a sense, I think we have India International Exchange is the exchange which I am representing, and this is part of the BSE group. And I think we made the first kind of, like today somebody was telling Andrew Allen that he's kind of taken the first leap of faith. I think we were the one who took it way back in 2016. And of course I worked with Manoj very closely during that time. And of course SEBI had a very open mind in terms of allowing a lot of things. And now we can look at probably what has happened 2.5 years down the line since we launched the exchange in January 2017. I think now our daily liquidity every day is now close to about $3 billion. In fact, for the month of June, we averaged daily about $2.96 billion of trading, notional, in terms of the derivatives volume. And most of it was on the index futures and options. So effectively, one important thing also happened in July is that the India 50 futures and options which we trade, actually on a cumulative basis for the month of July, we traded more than SGX Nifty. So the offshore volumes, we actually kind of surpassed that as a single exchange. Apart from these products, we also have got now good traction and liquidity also into the gold product, gold futures. Again, there we are trading a lot more than our regional IFSC center, which is what we are rivaling, that is Dubai. So we are trading more than DGCX, which is the exchange there. So effectively, we have two products which truly demonstrate what the theme of this seminar or this particular conference is, that is onshoring the offshore. So whatever was being traded outside, now in some sense we have started bringing some of them back home. And in terms of certain products which we are going to launch or which we're waiting for, I think obviously one was the rupee dollar, which I think Chairman SEBI also said that RBI's recent task force has come up with a positive recommendation on that. And we hope that RBI will soon kind of greenlight that project, and then that will probably give us the complete contours in terms of being able to do all the products as far as derivatives is concerned, which is traded offshore. In addition to that, obviously as a center, we just don't want to just be there only for users who are hedgers or traders. We also want to expand to actually have products which will cater to the entire investor ecosystem. In fact, in 2018, when the debt listings were allowed by SEBI, we actually have managed in almost 1.5 years close to about $42 billion of MTN program to be listed on our exchange. And close to about $16 billion has already been raised and the money has come to Indian corporates in India. Now this is something which shows that there is so much of money which can flow in, provided the right kind of products are allowed within the IFSC. And to that, my wish list, which is what I gave to Manoj, was I think already SEBI has a framework wherein they allow foreign equity listings to happen. They also allow depository receipt listings to happen. They also allow any other product which is virtually possible, which SEBI has the power to do. And effectively, even if you look at the previous panel, there were some call from Ms. Renuka Ramanathan for listings of EIFs. So in fact, all these proposals are something which we already kind of submitted to SEBI. We think that all these products will create that long only ecosystem, or the long shot, as Tushar was keeping on mentioning, that right now we have got only the short-term hedging products. What we need is actually the entire slew of products which should happen. Of course, it will take its own time, sweet time in terms of the investors to come in, but effectively if we have things in our shop, as I put it, then only the footfalls will come, people will want to come. Initially they will just do window shopping, but eventually at some point real business will start kind of coming in. So that's something which is what we kind of need. And the third thing which he actually talked about was the foreign portfolio investors and the EFIs. What is the status there? Of course, well, in fact yesterday also in the SEBI board meeting there has been a lot of rationalization on the FPIs. And it also made all the entities or any fund or any investment entity which is going to come into the IFSC to also get the FPI status to invest back home in India. Now parallel along with that, SEBI has introduced this EFI, which today morning SEBI chairman said, which is for those investors who don't want to come into India, but who want to come only to the offshore zone, that is the GIFT IFSC. So for that, this new concept of eligible foreign investors was created. But till now, we are not seeing too much takeoff on this concept, because I think there are certain aspects which are to be clarified, because there are tax concessions which are eligible for foreign investors or FPIs, but there is still a lack of clarity whether EFIs are also covered under the same regime. And similarly, there is no proper rules related to what are the KYC which is required for a EFI to come in. So in the absence of which, there is a little bit of a kind of a still kind of a hole which needs to be filled in, which is something which we have requested the regulators, and I'm sure they will take it up and clarify that it's also part of the FPI regime, and whatever is the KYC norms which is probably required to be put in can be appropriately clarified, and that will basically open the gates for getting real foreign customers to come.
Thank you, Bala. When we were talking to National Stock Exchange, and Ravi in particular for last many years, they always used to tell us, wait, we are planning something big, wait, we are planning something which will eventually not only take off the trading, but will take off in a big way the ecosystem. And a few days back, we see the press release from both the exchanges, National Stock Exchange and Singapore Stock Exchange, about having the in-principle regulatory approvals to go ahead with the nifty SGX product in GIFT City. Ravi, with that, I think you made in headlines, and I hope that was what you have been always hinting towards. And if you can throw some light, because a lot of people have been asking as to how NS is going about it and how we are going to operationalize the whole ecosystem.
Thank you very much. In fact, we have been working on getting nifty volumes which are trading in Singapore to GIFT City for quite some time, from the time we have set up NSE IFSC in 2017. We have been working with the regulators. We have first approached the regulators, both SEBI as well as MAS in Singapore. And subsequently, we did a significant amount of consultation with the participants across jurisdictions, trying to understand what exactly they want to move the liquidity into the GIFT City. So based on that, we have prepared a connect structure between SGX and NSE IFSC, and we've submitted the proposal about 4 or 5 months back to SEBI and MAS. They have both the regulators have examined it. SEBI has finally come out with an approval, the entire the regulatory regime dispensation which is required to make GIFT City exchanges attract liquidity which is sitting outside in other jurisdictions to back into the Indian jurisdiction which is GIFT. The regulatory structure is essentially to ensure that the structure is created in such a way that the liquidity of entire Nifty which is happening in Singapore will get concentrated back into India, that is into GIFT City. There is a connect which we are going to establish. So essentially, people who are trading on SGX as of today will not face too much of disruption the way they are approaching the trading activity. The orders will get routed into GIFT City Exchange, which is NSE IFSC, And we have a local liquidity which is here, which is essentially a set of participants who have already set up a shop here, and most of you are here today. And we believe when these two liquidity pools, the long-term liquidity pool which is coming from Singapore into GIFT City, and the local liquidity pool which has a flavor of trading flavor to it, we believe the entire liquidity pool is going to really grow significantly higher than what we have been seeing either in Singapore or in GIFT City. That is one thing. And this single liquidity pool will be supported by two clearing corporations, essentially the SGX DCVC, which is the clearing corporation for Singapore-based members, and we have an NICCL, which is our own clearing corporation in GIFT City. Both the clearing corporations would be supporting this liquidity pool and offering services of risk management, clearing and settlement, which will be completely seamless for both entities, both market pairs in both the jurisdictions. So, with the least possible disruption for the ecosystem, we are actually trying to concentrate the liquidity back into GIFT City. It will start with Nifty products initially, and subsequently we will continue to expand the product offerings through to kind of all India access products. This is just the beginning. It will take about a year because SGX has to set up a local entity in GIFT City. Then they have to take necessary approvals and have to become, take approvals from SEBI as well as, and then become a trading and clearing member here. And a few other operational areas have to be addressed. So as we look at it, it is essentially about a year from now, and there are a couple of small issues which still have to be addressed. We are working with the regulator as well as with the government to try and address the specific areas, and we should see those issues ironed out in the next about a month or so. But we think the current structure should be in place by about September to December 2020, post which the entire liquidity in Singapore will be shifted, and subsequently we keep adding other products. That's the vision as far as the SGX and IFSC Connect is concerned. Obviously, there are product offerings where, while this is the first connect which we have put in place, we are also simultaneously working with a few other exchanges to try and see how exactly we can ensure that international liquidity can be brought into GIFT City. So we are in dialogue with a few other jurisdictions, a few other exchanges, and not just for Nifty and other products. We are looking at a series of ideas which will really make GIFT an ideal place for international investors to look at for whenever they think about accessing India access products beyond coming onshore. So there are a series of offerings. We just waited for this SGX Connect to fall in place, the regulatory dispensation which SEBI and MAS have put together. That's a fantastic beginning for us. We can build a series of other products based on this specific infrastructure which SEBI has been kind enough to give it to us. That is a set of ideas which are going there. We're also simultaneously looking at, while attracting international investors into India, GIFT City is very important. We're also looking at the possibility of playing a conduit role for Indian investors to reach out to international markets. We have been in dialogue with SEBI for quite some time on this. We have actually come out with a product idea which will help Indian investors to access international markets in GIFT City. Morning also there was a series of mentions about this. We think we have a product idea which will make life significantly simpler and will enable Indian investors to use their LRS limit for accessing international products. Our request to SEBI has been that once an entity set up in GIFT City, they should be able to behave like when they set up an entity in Singapore or any other place. So we have been requesting SEBI, and I'm sure Mr. Manoj Kumar is looking into it, and we expect some positive signal from there, which will enable ideas to try and shift a series of trading desks, product managers, fund managers into GIFT City. Once we are able to shift some of these guys into GIFT City, the vibrancy will increase, the number of people who are operating out of GIFT City will increase. it will actually bring significant amount of vibrancy to the gift offering as an exchange, as a international financial services center. We are working with SEBI on this. We have submitted our proposals, and we look forward to hearing from SEBI very soon on this. As purely from an NSE point of view, we are looking at Gift City as the regulatory sandbox or a product area sandbox. We have been working with, as I mentioned, with international exchanges to try and see if we can make. There are possibilities on gold, there are possibilities on other international metals, on energy products. And having GIFT, IFSC, possibly the warehousing center for international warehousing center for Indian markets. There are, again, at this stage, we don't have the finality, but we are exploring some of these areas. We will keep coming back, and I'm sure GIFT City and particularly Deepesh has been absolute support system for us. Almost anything we wanted, GIFT City officials, particularly Deepesh, has been helping us sort out some issues. In fact, we have a couple of issues which I mentioned to you just before coming onto the stage. I think the team has been fantastic. Regulators, GIFT City and exchanges together, we have been able to get a lot of issues sorted out, and we think what are the little other issues we'll get them sorted out in the near future to make GIFT one of the Prime Minister's vision of making GIFT the vibrant international financial services center could be achieved without too much of difficulty. Thank you.
Thank you. We've always seen, whenever we call one person on the panel here, he's always on the go, he's always in Singapore or in US marketing and telling us that GIFT can do this and the investors can do that. I've seen Amar Kampani from Kotak Custody. I think there's a lot of said about the opportunities for custodian, and I'm sure with this new interactions of the FPIs coming in GIFT, what has been the response from the FPIs that you've been talking to, and how do you see the business opportunities from GIFT?
Sure. Thanks, Dipesh, and I echo Ravi's views that you've been a big support system for all of us. And whenever I've said this in more than one public forum, that whenever I've called Dipesh or his team, they've always been around to help us. We get lots of queries from FPIs saying, how is this working, how is that going to work? But really thanks for that. Coming back to the feedback, so we work with FPIs across the globe, whether it's US, London, Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai. And I think the feedback has been very positive over the last 6 to 12 months. They are very keen to hear more about GIFT. And obviously we are doing our job a little bit in promoting GIFT as the way to invest, the future way to invest in India. So what they like about the exchanges is that all contracts are in dollars. So there is no currency risk. Whenever they're trading on derivatives onshore, there's always the currency risks, and they take a little bit of punt on the USD and INR. But they like that all contracts are in dollars. The tax benefits of trading on the INX or the NSE, I think the tax benefits clearly play a large role. Whenever they hear, I know the previous panel had a lot of discussion on tax, and Andrew Dairies mentioned that we don't want to talk too much about tax, but it does play here on the INX as well as the INSF. The fact that there are tax benefits play an important role, in terms of FPIs being interested. And the last thing, and I must compliment Semi on that, the fact that the documentation for FPIs to trade on the exchanges in GIFT has been kept. Zero additional documentation in terms of what FPIs have. Once an FPI gets the FPI registration from a DDP like us, it's like the single all-access pass. You can trade on the NSE BSE onshore, you can trade on the INX or the NSE IFSC here in GIFT, you can trade across various asset classes. So I think these are the 3 key points which really attract FPIs to start trading onto GIFT. There are obviously suggestions which we get from them, and now with Bala mentioning the volumes where they are, I think one of the points I'll have, the volumes have really gone up, and clearly in the next 6 months we will see hopefully a lot more FPIs actually trading. One of the feedback which we get, and again I've shared this with Bala a couple of times, is on the single stock futures. So this is something which they are saying that while we do trade the index, but we also want to see a little bit of volumes on the single stock side. So yeah, but I think it's very positive, and obviously they were waiting for some of maybe the election results, and that's really helped in terms of generating much more positive sentiment.
Well, many of you may not be aware that the first time when we talk about international trading, it was Hemant Daga, person sitting left to me, who was the one to raise his hand. He came to GIFT City and said, we are going to set up an international trading desk in GIFT, and let's do whatever it takes to, and let's go to the regulator. We had a couple of meetings with the SEBI, and I was so enthusiastic with the way that Hemant and his team were visualizing the way they operate from Singapore and how it can be replicated through GIFT. Hemant, you have seen over the last 1.5 to 2 years after we made that initial approach to SEBI, and now the things as they stand. What is your view and how you see this emerging as an international trading desk from GIFT?
Thanks, Dipesh. I've known Dipesh for the last 3 years when the first few buildings were being set up at IFSC. And when I come back after 2 years, I see the huge progress being made. So thanks a lot to you and your team. I think you guys have done a phenomenal job. When you look at any financial center, I think what are the core principles for a financial center? Whether you look at Singapore or Dubai, you need great regulation. I think GIFT, by proposing a unified regulator, is moving in the right direction. And Nishit Desai wonderfully mentioned that we also require a tax person out here, which I think is very important. So from a regulator perspective, I think GIFT has made great strides. Secondly, any financial center has good cost competitiveness, has good tax competitiveness. Honestly, I think on that front, there is a lot that's been done. And it's for people to move forward. I think there is a lot of incentive to move to GIFT. Thirdly, I think that the third thing that comes to my mind is in terms of an ecosystem that is required for financial centers to develop. So you require some global banks, because some large global managers will only bank with global banks because the regulations require that. You require collaterals in the form of dollar holdings because they will have collaterals in the form of dollar holdings. We need to enable that. If we truly want to become an international financial center, we need to think like an international financial center. Because I think collateral, banking, clearing, I think all these are very important in the ecosystem of trading, which I think we need to take a few steps towards, and I'm sure the team at GIFT will solve that. And I think the fourth is products. The good thing is that a lot of innovation can be done on GIFT. And while we are trying to get Nifty and Rupee futures, I think fresh, innovative thinking on the product side can be done on GIFT. It's in a way relatively more open, more fertile territory for thinking. Why can't dollar ETFs, India ETFs be launched on GIFT Exchange? I'm sure with passive investing, the way it is moving the world over, there will be a lot of takers for something like this. Why can't warrants be launched on GIFT Exchange in an environment where Indian companies require capital? I mean, warrants can be a great instrument. And so GIFT can take the path forward when it comes to innovation. And I think when you put all these 4 ingredients together, which is regulation, tax, cost, consistency on tax and cost, getting the ecosystem right, and obviously getting the innovation and the products right, I think players will come. Whether it is traders, whether it is hedgers, whether it is long-only investors, eventually people get attracted to these 4 fundamental principles. And when I look at GIFT, I think a lot of this has got in motion. To me, the most important thing is to communicate a lot of this, to get people up the curve on it, and to keep executing on this. I'm sure people sitting on my left, Bala, Ravi, will foster product innovation. Indians are innovative, and we will come up with innovative ideas in that sense. But a lot of progress has been made. The other point that I want to add, and while we want to offshore a lot of Indian products that get traded on international exchanges, I think a lot of foreign participants, given the fact that there is no tax in gift for a long period of time, if we can enable them to trade global markets from here. I know we need to take one step at a time, and this is like taking 3 steps at one time. But this is something that we should keep at the back of our mind. Today, Singapore enables you to trade the world from Singapore. If we can enable global firms to trade the world from gift, why only India? Why only Indian instruments? I mean, if a large global player wants to come to trade, he wants to trade the world, right? And sometimes, aggregation has its own benefits. When a lot of people will come to gift, they will trade India, they will trade the world, and that will have its own side benefits. Employment, getting the entire ecosystem created. So that is another facet that we need to think. Obviously, we need to get the India leg sorted out first, but that's a big step in my mind. And you typically in life focus on one thing and move to the other, but here I would suggest if we can adopt some sort of a parallel approach at the right time, I think it can open significantly vast doors.
In the previous panel, I heard Anjali Bansal saying about the equity listing on the IFSC exchanges, and probably that's the thought that people are having, that having an equity listing of the Indian companies or foreign companies on the IFSC exchanges could be a good enabler. What has been the progress on that, and what has been your experience on the debt listing and the masala bond that the chairman said we talk about, some numbers of the listing that you are seeing on your exchanges?
So I think on the primary market front, I think, as I said, the only headway which you have made is on debt listings. But I think the SEBI IFSC guideline framework already permits foreign equity listings to happen, which is already kind of a no-brainer, which can be done. But more importantly, the depository receipts, which is basically papers which could come from Indian companies as well as foreign companies. Both could be converted into depository receipts. And third is direct overseas listing of Indian companies, which is what probably the previous panel they didn't allude to. Now, I will start from the last one, because on that I think already SEBI has done a lot of work. They have already set up one committee which has submitted a positive report wherein they have submitted a list of exchanges in which this should be kind of permitted. I think it will eventually be finalized once SEBI's internal governance process approves that perspective. And then finally, I think in that they also agreed to include the IFSC exchanges, is what I hear. Of course, Manoj can confirm that part of it. So effectively, that will basically open the door for overseas listings by Indian companies to come in here. Today, there is no rule which is actually stopping a foreign equity to come and list here. All we need to do is we have to get our disclosure norms and basically our issuance norms, which today in India we follow a different kind of a norm, which is much more tuned to the smaller investor, more from an investor protection angle. But from the international side, it is a little more liberal. And to that extent, we have to probably get SEBI to issue a operating guideline for issuances on other instruments also, that is including equities and depository receipts and other. So I think that's something which can be done, and it could be done based on how fast SEBI can work. It can be done in 3 to 6 months time frame. And in fact, I think some of my panelists did talk about ETFs and other things. In fact, we have already taken this proposal to SEBI. It's a detailed proposal which we are kind of putting in terms of how ETFs or even AIFs can be listed, because in India there is no single AIF which is listed. But in GIFT there is a clearly a big advantage of listing an AIF, because typically there is no capital gain applicable here. And in fact, in one of the earlier panels they did talk about investors flipping and want to flip from one series to another. And this can all be seamlessly done if it is all done through a transfer or through a secondary market trade on the exchange on the AIFs which are listed. So effectively, without capital gain, this can seamlessly be kind of done. Apart from this, even other products like REITs, InvITs, which today are basically where primarily today in India there are so many real estate and infrastructure investments which are craving for international capital. Those could also be actually listed and traded here. And if that happens, that could also create a completely kind of different market. And in fact, like today morning, we never talked about $200 billion just from the fund industry. But I think if we convert or accumulate all these products, in fact, we can actually gift code in the next 5 years. Why only 200 billion? It could actually go up all the way to $1 trillion of investments which can actually be routed through GIFT. So that's basically what the pipeline is. Obviously, all is not within SEBI's hand itself. There are certain things which require the ministry, the DA and others to notify and allow. So effectively, I think there is going to be a cross-section of regulators who want to work for it. And that is the reason probably eventually we need the uniform regulator or the IFSC authority, which can then kind of harness all these things so effectively whenever we want to come up with any of these kind of innovative products. Because unlike India, which has got a domestic market which is protected, which is a captive market for the Indian exchanges, here we are basically babes in the wood in terms of being thrown into the ocean, because we are competing with international exchanges which are much more liberal environment. So effectively, we need to get a lot more agility, a lot more freedom, and a lot more liberal rules to be available to the exchanges also to permit these kind of products or these kind of frameworks to come in. So I think over a period of time, we have started this journey. In fact, like the chairman SEBI today quoted Robert Frost. I think we just started the journey, so we need to kind of go a long way, and over probably the next 5-10 years, we could get to all of these.
Yeah. So as usual, Bala was always trying to reflect upon the regulator, and since I am here, so my duty is to respond to that. He has already put a time frame that within 2 to 3 months we should be able to deal with a particular issue. And we have always tried to deal with issues very proactively. And I was thinking of keeping the remarks reserved for my end comments, but as Bala mentioned that there are already enabling provisions, and those enabling provisions probably have to be explored by all of you. If you don't explore the provisions, then we will think that there is no point in keep on giving approvals and approvals, because we as a regulator also want that whenever next time we come here, the base should appreciate us more, and because it should happen that in terms of volume, in terms of business, things should move ahead. And as the previous panel, somebody mentioned that next time we want to see more foreign entities sitting on the dais rather than Indian entities sitting on the dais. So we urge all of you that we have made enough provisions in the law, and you will never find us wanting in terms of granting you approval, which Ravi indicated during his opening remarks that SEBI was kind enough and SEBI moved very fast. But as far as his timeline is concerned, he has indicated September 2020. So I think some sort of grace should be given to regulator also.
Actually, I mean, some of these international, transactions are fairly complicated, but I mean, we have all praise for SEBI, and SEBI has been able to actually turn around and then come back and give the jurisdiction, the regulatory dispensation which is required to get this connect going. And this is, as I said, this is the first step. There are multiple things which can happen. Morning also people were talking about Hong Kong and the situation in Hong Kong. I think it's important for all of us, from the regulators, government and the GIFT City, to try and capitalize on this and then try and make GIFT City the destination for fund managers, traders, the entire trading desks. There are a lot of things which can happen. I think we just need to move faster, and SEBI has been very, very proactive, and we will try and explore every single overall regulation which is there. We will try and submit, we will be flooding you with applications. Rest assured, we will do that very fast.
So as almost happens in every panel, there are few people in the audience who want to clarify their doubt before they break for the lunch. So I'm sure that there are few people right now in the room who just want to ensure that whatever they heard or whatever they have doubts in their minds, they want to just clarify so that they have a peaceful lunch and networking lunch with their people in this room. So we take few questions right now, and then one question to all of them as to how you take this IFFC to the next level what is that one point in their mind which will take the International Financial Services Center to the next level from where we are today? Before that, we just open up this for a few questions that you have in your mind. Yeah,
The same thing. So
hi, this is Udit from Edelweiss. Just wanted to check if there is any vision to explore true hedge funds in Gift City before maybe allowing them onshore in India. Because here the leverage ratio, if it's relaxed, it can allow more hedge funds to come in and start operations from India also.
Who is to answer this? I think the business people have to answer this. If you have some regulatory issues and challenges, you can bounce those issues to us. But as far as why hedge funds are not coming, then probably either Ravi or
Tushar and Mrs. Bhai both are here. If you want to take this.
they did a lot of heavy lifting today already. Okay.
After lunch, we'll get energy.
I have a question for NSE because, of course, you hit the headline with your when you had finally managed to come to a consensus with SGX on a very popular index that world trades. It's Nifty with context to SGX, if I have to say. With that consensus in place, and you mentioned that there is an arrangement that you have figured it out, how much does it benefit the ecosystem which is IFSC? Will it move hedge funds to IFSC? Which were our target also, some of the joint roadshows that we have done with some of you. Does that bring brokers into Gift City? You know, can you just throw light on that?
So we think this is the first step in terms of shifting the liquidity. Close to about $5 billion worth of trading happens on SGX today. So the entire liquidity will automatically shift. And as I said, there is a set of participants who are already in Gift City, who are significant trading type, hedge fund type, or HFT type entities which are here, who will be able to interact with this long-only type liquidity, which will actually help the entire ecosystem in terms of increasing the level of activity which is happening in Gift City. Our expectation is in the next, the moment we are able to operationalize this, in about a year from there, we will start seeing a lot more activity happening here. As I said, we are just starting with Nifty, but we have a series of products which are lined up after Nifty. We are expecting that in about a year from that point onwards, a lot more opportunities will be available for hedge funds, a lot more opportunities will be available for HFT type characters, and the people who are actually trying to hedge their positions. So we see opportunities, a significant amount of opportunities for traders, fund managers, hedge funds to come into Gift City. In fact, the gentleman has talked about hedge funds, the taxation aspects. I'm sure Mr. Nishit Desai and Tushar have addressed in the morning. There are obviously complexities around that. But other than that, I don't think there's any regulatory bar on any of the HFTs to come in and trade out here. It's a question of how do you structure it and how do you ensure that you would not be facing issues on the taxation side. I don't really think that's an issue.
Yes, we are already hearing noise from the lobby about the lunch. I think better we finish this off and you can have an offline, conversation on your doubts with that. But one point to all of you, what is that one point that you think that can take the International Financial Services Center business to the next level?
I think before we go to that...
Okay.
Just one question, Dipesh bhai.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to interrupt, but just taking this point from Renuka and your key point that what is it that one thing that will help this, flourish. I think and the purpose of Gift City is very simple. I mean, the more you'll have a full house. So that's one thing, and that's applicable for managers. So for fund industry, I think the moment we get tax exemption for the funds, whether AIF, Cat 1, Cat 2, there is a pass-through, so how to give tax benefits to fund, that needs to be thought about. But for Cat 3 also, if there is a tax exemption from capital gains tax, then I think this will really kick off. And I think we can devise something like 4 or 5 years, if not 10 years, or some 50% tax, some creative way, but I think it's very clear that the moment you give tax exemption, you will have full house everywhere.
Thank you. I think we'll keep this as one of the pointers for the. But one point from all of you, starting from you, Hemant.
I'm still repeating the same thing. I think a lot has been done. This is now about communication, getting the ecosystem set in place, because I think global players require ecosystems, whether it is global arbitration, global custodians, getting the collaterals in the global dollar terms. I think that is very important for them because that effectively matters the cost of capital. And I think just execution now, I think there is so much. I mean, a 10-15 year tax holiday is a lot. No CTT, no STT, that's a lot already. No capital gains, that's a lot already. I think we need to move forward and get multiple players. I think the SGX Connect is a very good move. It gets long-only players to participate and really diversifies the market. So I think good work. I think we should just keep executing this debate, honestly, in my view.
So I think immediately the one thing which is clearly the wish list is to get the rupee dollar trading going, because that will completely open the mindset and rest to doubts whether all kind of activities can be done within the GIFT City. So that I think probably is the one big thing. But apart from that, as he said, he talked about the overall big global clearing and all that. I think we have right now inadequate banking system, which also needs to be really bolstered, because today, if you're talking about trading in a foreign currency, today moving funds internationally, we are reliant on correspondent banks and so on and so forth. Although within our ecosystem, we have solved it by a very unique model where within GIFT, the banks are all cooperating and they are taking counter credit risks kind of thing. But that cannot be a scalable kind of a proportion. That's something which.
Regulatory wish list. Sorry? Yeah. Regulatory wish list is always very straightforward. Please ensure compliances with the regulations that we have emphasized. Right? But it's a fair ask. Yeah, but in this jurisdiction, probably our wish list is slightly distinct. We are saying that we have given you an environment where, and here our oversight and our laws are slightly lenient. So you try to innovate. If you are innovating in the right direction, probably we will keep our eyes closed. If you are not, then we will go back to the original wish list that ensure compliance. So it is an opportunity for all of you innovate and enjoy this liberal regime in GIFT, because probably before we came out with our regulatory sandbox or innovative sandbox guidelines, sandbox was also already happening in GIFT. So all of you should take advantage and ensure that before we open our eyes here in GIFT, you all have established your businesses, and that is the wish. And provided media should not quote this wish outside.
We will take on your offer. We will build on it. I think in the earlier panel also people have brought this one up. It's critical to have a harmonized regulatory setup and tax setup. It's critical. Otherwise, something which is enabled in a particular area could get negated in another area, or a complexity which is getting built in another area. This obviously is an international jurisdiction, so we have to start thinking completely away from the kind of regulatory structure which is onshore, and possibly that mindset has to really seep in. And that's basically, this is a different jurisdiction. If you give that freedom, a lot of things are going to happen. And it is not an unrealistic expectation, because we have to compete with jurisdictions being free. Singapore, or Dubai, or any other jurisdiction you are looking at, you are actually trying to compete with those jurisdictions. So we have to be on par with those jurisdictions in terms of the regulatory setup, the fiscal setup, and the operational ease. That's where we are.
Yeah. So I think one of the key things which we all need to work on, and including us at Kotak, is create much more awareness about the fact that we are at par, if not better, with the other IFSCs internationally.
call it New York, London, Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai. So when I travel and meet clients overseas as well as in India, people are aware of GIFT, people know that something's happening, but how does it help them? How does it add to their bottom line? How does it make life easier for them to trade on GIFT or set up a fund structure in GIFT as compared to onshore trading at NSE, BSE? Right? That's something which is there on my list as well, because we have the products, we have the infrastructure, we have the tax benefits, we have the regulator with us here as well. And so I think it's just over the next 6 to 12 months, build that brand awareness and make it a step-by-step process for them. Aditya mentioned in one of the earlier panels, we have everything here, it's about the people, people make the place. So let's just tell the international community that, India, we are heading towards the $5 trillion mark, and we are also welcoming you at GIFT. That's the message which we want to give to the international community.
Bala, just one offshoot of your statement. Why can't, if Standard Chartered Chennai can process checks for Standard Chartered Taiwan, why can't we have a chapter of BIS here?
Absolutely, that is all possible. But what I am saying is, today when we are doing a dollar clearing, and if the scalability happens, if trading or the clearing settlement runs into millions and billions, obviously the ecosystem here of counter credit risk exposure will stop at some point. And then when you are, so what we need is, we need to bring the infrastructure to get the Fedwire POP here, or a Bank of England POP here, which is basically something which is available in other regional centers like Singapore and Hong Kong. So that's basically the infrastructure which is needed on the banking side. And also the banks which are operational here today, they are not yet put in significant infrastructure in terms of getting internet banking on the dollar side and so on and so forth. To that extent, they also will have to start connecting to those international systems and the international central banks and those kind of things, which has to eventually happen. Today, those kind of things are lacking at this point. I'm sure all these will happen, but this is the opportunity which you are talking about, which is what I'm agreeing. But at this point of time, it is not.
So with this, I think this will be one thing.
That will be good, but we'll be delighted to put together. And it is very important for all of us to work together and see how do we communicate and promote GIFT. So, with few more things that are needed, then, we can sell a story. Ultimately, it's a storytelling.
So I'm happy to contribute in whatever way you may.
Oh, sure. I think we all
of us, I think we can.
We'll be delighted to take a...
Now it's a time for lunch, and I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, at least we deserve that.
Thank you very much. We can hold ourselves for 5 minutes more. I would request everyone to be kindly seated till we do the honoring of mementos to the panelists over here. But before that, please have a big round of applause for all of them. Thank you. I would request Mr. Dipesh Shah, who is the moderator for the panel discussion, to do the honors. And foremost, we'll go with Mr. Manoj Kumar, sir. Can we hand over the memento to sir, please? Thank you very much. Mr. V. Bala. Mr. Ravi Varanasi. Can we have it louder? We're making room for our upcoming performance. Thank you. Mr. Hemant Daga. Mr. Amar Kampani. Anyways, both of them are equally good in the work. And Mr. Hemant Daga. Can we have you all together, squeezed in for a group photograph? And for all of you, thank you for have a great festive week.